Hey guys, this is Jella and welcome back to my channel. We are finally starting another town series for the year 2026. And you guys have been requesting for another Japanese town. I made a no Gamepass Japan-inspired town last November 2024. So for this year, we will be making a Gamepass one. And after a long time, I have now purchased a transform tool. I've been building for so long without the transform tool Gamepass, and now we can use it. Anyways, for this part 1, we will be making the town layout. Now I used a plane marking to find the center of this large plot. But we won't be adding a line in the center. Rather place the marking one line towards the right side. This will be the main highway road. We need to make the lanes a bit wider, so I will use 3 square wide on each side. Now leave a 2 square space for the sidewalk before we plot on the building spaces. I'm just gonna add 2 5 by 5 square space building or store in here. Then again, leave a 2 square wide sidewalk space in front and on the side. I also added an angled corner on both sides. Then for the rest of the space on the right, we will use it for a parking area. Going to the left side, again leave a 2 square space for the sidewalk and then add a 5 by 5 square line. Now add a 3 by 4 line on beside it for a smaller store. Then add the sidewalk but leave a 1 square space sidewalk going to the parking space on the left. We can add at least 3 car slots in here. And then the rest of the space will be for another store. We can fit a 5 by 5 square building in here. Across the road, we will add another block, so leave a 3 square space for the cars to fit on each small road. Then add a 4 by 5 slot and a 5 by 5 square slot next to each other. At the back side of this 2 stores will be another parking space, which we can fit 4 cars. Connect the parking spaces to the sidewalk, but leave the top sidewalk 1 square space, because we will have a smaller road on that end. Now make another 3 square wide road space for cars to fit in and out of the parking. On this second block, I wanted to add smaller shops for like the food alleyway I'm planning to build. So right now, I just added a bunch of 4 by 5 square slots. But this may or may not be replaced somewhere along the way as our town progress. As I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna make this a smaller road using 2 by 2 square wide only. I added a 3 square space facing the car road because we will be adding a staircase leading up to the neighborhood houses. The rest of the plotted slots are food stores. Okay, now moving to the right side, again we will just have a 3 square road space in between. Then I'm adding a small building in here. Not sure if I'm gonna make this an apartment building or an office. Then just add another plotted space at the back for future shops or building. I'm leaving another 3 square space in the middle to make a separate block. This middle area will be a staircase leading upwards to a second-level neighborhood, but only a small one. Then I'm gonna close off the back section of this second-level area. This will only have 2 or 3 small building space. Now this back right corner, I will leave this empty for now. Only because I am planning on making this right corner area into a rural or traditional part of our town. Moving back to the left side corner. I mentioned earlier that this will have a staircase leading up towards a neighborhood. So I'm just gonna plot out some spaces for you guys to picture out what we will have in this area. So I'm gonna add 2 family houses, 1 apartment and a playground area in this 4 spaces we made. Okay, now we are gonna be adding the roads. So add floor through this main road and color this dark stone gray with concrete texture. Make sure to add this to the small roads as well as the parking spaces. Now delete all the plain markings that can be deleted since we already added some floors on the roads. Okay, we are now adding an elevated sidewalk to separate the main road. So I will be using a flat roof and you will be needing a basement Gamepass for this. Go to the basement and use a manual mode to place the roof from the basement. Then use the height arrow to raise the roof with just 2 moves using the smallest grid line. Now make the texture of the elevated sidewalk into this old cobblestone texture and color this sand red. If you have a color wheel, you can use this color. Now use this on the edge of the flat roof to match the whole sidewalk. Then just copy the sidewalk we made and fill the rest of the roads that has a 2 square space sidewalk area. For some roads that are smaller, we will not add this elevated sidewalk. Now we will be adding a middle separation from the two lanes on this main highway road. I'm gonna use a square basic cube and resize this using the medium grid line. Then make it long like a rectangular shape. Now just change the texture to concrete since I will be using the same medium gray color. Then we are adding a structural square beam on the sides of this basic shape. I'm using this thin square beam. Now place that on both sides and color this to burlap with concrete texture as well. You can color the square beam first before duplicating so it would be cheaper when added to the other side. I duplicated the whole middle concrete we made, but since I wanted to leave a space for a pedestrian lane, I will be making another one but smaller than this middle concrete we did. Copy the yellow square beam, and we will add this onto the sides of the main road using the smallest grid line, just to add some details to our main highway road. You can search for the road arrow signs and pedestrian lane since that is what we will be using in here. It's great that we have those now because I always use square beams to custom make the arrow lines on the lanes. Then add the pedestrian lane that we now have in game. This will be the first time I will be using this, so I didn't know you can rescale the size and length of this pedestrian lane. I resized this to fit a 2 square tile. And then just move the middle concrete so it doesn't hit the lane. Now copy the pedestrian lane and add this to the other side of the smaller roads. Make sure to adjust the length so it doesn't poke out towards the sidewalk area. And to add more details to our roads, we are adding this manhole covers, which is super cute since I don't have to use a round carpet anymore. I'm also adding a drainage cover on the sides of the road. And yes, we also now have this one. I used to make the vents into a drainage area, but this one looks so cute. It cannot be resized, so I used 2 pieces next to each other. Feel free to add more if you like. Just make sure you have a lot of budget for this one because it will surely be costly. Okay, so hear me out. I wanted to add an overpass bridge in the middle of the main road. Since the elevated sidewalk took off the space, I will chop off 1 square row of the buildings that will be affected by the overpass bridge. As for the buildings on the right block side, I decided to remake the upper allotted plot since this will be on the 2nd level. Now I'm just gonna add a sidewalk using the road flooring. I'm gonna use the same concrete texture but recolor the sidewalk to oyster. Now add the sidewalk floors to the rest of the parts of this town. Okay, so since the sidewalk floors we used are flat, I'm gonna add a plain short fence to the sides to close off the sidewalk area. Copy the color of the elevated sidewalk. Now we can start on the overpass bridge that I was talking about earlier. First we are gonna add the stairs, and I'm gonna use this modern stairs because I want that gap space in between the stairs. We are gonna add 1 stair on each sidewalk and make sure that the other stair is facing the other way. Then add a floor on the 2nd level and make a 1 square indentation on each landing area. So I will just make a small bridge with only 2 square wide. As for the fence, I'm gonna use a steel cable railing on the stairs as well as the bridge railing. Now if you notice closely, since the sidewalk is elevated, the stairs is not aligned with the bridge floor. So I'm gonna do the delete undo technique where I will delete the sidewalk and place the stairs on the spot where I want to put it, but don't click it yet. Now at the same time press the Ctrl Z and left click to place the stairs. This will undo what you deleted before while placing the item you are holding on. If you have been watching or recreating my no Gamepass builds, this technique has always been used and you might be a pro at this already. Now we are adding a base wall for the bridge using this plain wide pillar. Rescale the height of the pillar since it pokes out on the bridge flooring. I'm gonna add 2 of this pillar near the corner since we want a thicker base to hold off the bridge. Add this pillars to the other side as well. Now I'm gonna color the stairs to green side base. I made the stairs step board concrete right now, but I will be changing that later to a plastic texture and green color as well. So if you want to save a bit of your money before recoloring this, just make this color green and plastic texture. As for the steel cable railing, I also colored this to dark green and will be recoloring some of the metals that I wasn't able to color green. So I'm gonna add an express lane signage right next to the bridge that we made. I'm using this large plain painting and then just add a basic cube where we can place the painting. Make sure to resize the painting and the basic shape so we can fit it perfectly next to the bridge. I duplicated this signage then added the decals that I made. So the codes will be in the description box so you guys can also use it. Color the basic shape and the back side of the painting to match the signage. I placed both the signages on the bridge first. Then use the transform tool to lower down the signages. Make sure that both the signages are in the center of each lane. I finally have the opportunity of using a transform tool. I'm so happy for this. I usually just use a carpet in placing down items above since I don't have a transform tool Gamepass before. So if you only have an advanced placement Gamepass, you can just use the carpet technique in placing items. I also duplicated both signages at the back side of the bridge. Okay, now we are adding a few traffic lights on this main highway road. You can color the back side of the traffic light to black or however you like. And then just add this traffic lights on the corners, but I won't be adding a lot since this is just one straight road. I decided to just use the in-game traffic light instead of making a custom one because I know we will be using a lot of plot data in this town. And then we are adding some signages, so we have this crosswalk sign. I wanted to color the man walking into white, but since I can't change that, I just colored the baseboard to a light yellow shade. Then just add this along the crosswalks. There's also a lot more signages that you can use. So I'm gonna add a few around the smaller roads like the speed limit signage. I'm gonna add a bus stop in this first block on the right. Good thing we now have the built-in bus stop, so we don't have to make one. Just color this however you like. Now we can add some trash bins right next to the bus stop. There's usually a lot of trash bins or cans next to where people would stay. And since this is Japan, they have this different colored trash bins. So I'm adding 3 square bins and color this green, yellow, and blue. You can also change the texture of the bins if you like, but I'll stick to this kind of like plastic thingy stripe. Okay, now going back to the bridge, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to color the stairs to a different shade of green with plastic texture. So I used parsley green and also recolored the other metal part of the railing to green. As for the bridge flooring, I used rough stone bricks texture and colored it dark brown. Color the bottom part of the bridge as well as the wide pillars. I'm adding a few more details to our main road. I wanted to add this diamond lane as I've seen in highway roads. So instead of using a structural beam, I will use a ruler and color this white. We can't resize the ruler, so I'm using 2 pieces on each side. Make a diamond shape and that is it. Add this diamond lane on the other side as well. You can move the arrow sign a bit lower so we can place the diamond near the pedestrian. On the smaller roads, there's usually slower speed limits. So I'm adding a road marking that says 30. You can use the ruler like how we made the diamond lane, or use the structural square beam. Now if you want to save a bit of money, make sure to color the square beam before adding all the lines since recoloring and changing the texture costs a lot more per line. I'm just going to color it to white with a concrete texture. Now I'm gonna add some planters in the middle concrete. I'm using this long bordered carpet as a pretend planter where we can place a bush later. The bush plant I wanted to add cannot fit into the planter we have in game, so I decided to make use of a pretend planter instead. Color the base carpet to look like soil, and then match the border the same color and texture as the concrete island. For the bush plant, I'm using this compact bush and color this to grime. This is my favorite color when it comes to plants. Then just add the bushes along the planter and resize this bushes. You can make it alternating sizes or just how I did using 3 sizing pattern. Then just copy the planters and compact bush along the middle concrete island for the rest of the main road. I'm adding a few of this metal fence along the sidewalks of the main highway. Color this to dark stone gray. I won't be adding a lot of this fence railing since it would look a bit too much. I won't be adding much towards the end because I'm planning on something to close off that end highway road. Probably make a tunnel or something, but we'll see. Okay, so I wanted to add more planters on the sidewalks where we added the fence railings. Again, I'm using the long carpet and resize this the same width as the metal fence. Then color the carpet to make it look like a soil again and the border the same as the sidewalk. You can use sand red or the custom color we used. I added the same compact bush in here and it looked too cramped or many. So I will just add 3 compact bushes and 2 short grass in between. All the planters are done on the main road. So now let's add some trees, and I'm using this leafy tree. It looks so good. You can also use a birch tree if you like, but I think this looks fluffier than the birch tree. I placed it on the corner of the road, next to the traffic light. And I'm gonna color the tree to a pink shade to make it look like a cherry blossom, although I know at this time of the year, there aren't cherry blossom trees. I duplicated this tree and placed it on the other corner as well. Now this tree is what we will be using around the town with a bit of mixture of other trees as this series progresses. I'm not going to fill the other streets for now since I want to see how the buildings are going to be placed. I'm adding a floor ivy and recolor this the same as the cherry blossom tree. This would look like the falling leaves from the tree. Place this on the corners under the tree and it would look amazing. I wanted to add some posters on the bus stop, but we can't place anything in here since it is a whole build-in game. So good thing we now have a transform tool because I can just use a basic shape and place the poster on it. I used a transparent cube and resized it just the size of the poster that I wanted to add. I also resized the poster because we have a small bus stop border. I'm so glad to finally be able to use the transform tool. I know I've been yapping about this earlier, but it's just that I've always wanted to buy this before, but I don't have enough Robux to purchase. So finally, after a few years, I completed the game passes to use for my builds. Anyways, I changed the color of the parking lines to a light yellow shade with concrete texture. As for the right area parking, I deleted the lines I made earlier. So here we can add a few more parking lines. And I know in reality, we cannot really use this parking lines too close to each other. But we are here in Bloxburg, so yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna make a vending machine using just the decals. I know we now have 2 vending machines in game. But it costs Bloxbucks and I can't afford to buy a lot around the town. So good thing we have many options for decals of a good vending machine. Now I'm using a plain painting and a basic cube. You know how this works. Then add a basic wall vent on the sides and resize this to fit the machine. You can search in the free images since there are a lot of options. And as I changed the decal, I noticed that the vending machine I made was too small. So I'm gonna resize that later. Now color the base and vents to match the vending machine decal. You can add a lot of this vending machines around the town. But I'm gonna just place one for now since this is just the part 1 in our town series. I placed it beside the bus stop for now. Not sure if I'm gonna move it later on the series. So I'm gonna place a concrete block below the vending machine as I've seen in the roads of Japan that the vending machines are elevated. So I used a wooden pallet, but colored it gray with concrete texture to look like a concrete block. I also copied the posters and placed it on the vending machines. You can just search for posters in the free images. We are almost done with the part 1. And I just wanted to start on the electric poles that we will use on this town. Now it would be much easier to do since there is a transform tool Gamepass. I'm gonna use vertical cylinders instead of pillars so we can just duplicate this easily. Now the first cylinder, make this a bit higher but wider as this will be the pole base. Now with the second cylinder, this will be the electric pole, so make this long and add another one on top. Then add a standard square beam and place 2 pieces a few spaces on top of each other. Now we are adding another vertical cylinder, and I resized this before placing it on top. Then change the texture and make it rectangular tile with dark stone gray color. I actually made a custom color making the dark stone gray a bit lighter than it is. But if you don't have the color wheel, that will be good too. Then place the vertical cylinder on the very top since we can just use the transform tool. Add another one on the other side and make sure it is aligned. You can follow along how I made this electric pole since I will just make it simple. So we've made the electric pole and now we will just need to add the electric lines. I'm using the ordinary string and make use of the black rounded thingies on the bar. I lowered down the box that I made so that there would be a few distance between the cylinders. Then add an electric line under the cylinder towards the electric box. Just a reminder that this isn't accurate to the real-life electric post, as I'm not familiar with the systems of electricity lines and poles. I also connected the inner lines toward the center so it would just look full when zoomed out. Now just add this electric posts around the town. I may or may not move this posts once we start adding buildings. But for now, this is where I place them. You can add this electric posts on the next parts of the series if there is no budget. I just wanted to let you guys see how it would look like from afar. Then I added the electric lines next to the nearest electric post from the main road. Again, I will just add this connecting lines in this middle highway because I may move some electric poles along this series. So this is part 1 in our Japan town series. We made the town layout, although some parts are still empty for now. Our town is now costing $74,086. So this is how it looks like right now when zoomed out. I love the touch of pink it is giving right now, especially the cherry blossom trees. Anyways, this is the main highway road, which is also the main entrance going inside the town. And over here we have a bus stop. We also have the segregated trash bins. I actually forgot to add some bus stop decals, so feel free to add that if you like. Over here is the vending machine that we made with decals. I'm not sure if I will make this larger, but that's it for now. Then we have this pedestrian lane, which is super nice. I love how this is an addition in build mode. Over here is the custom electric post that I made. I actually love how it turned out. It's just simple, but also makes the town look fuller. So we are gonna add some buildings over here, and this one has a parking space, which is nice. We have a separate shop in here, and then once we cross over here, this will be the food district where all the food business will be. And then over here will be a commercial building and probably a convenience store next to it. Over there will be a food alleyway since it is a small road. I will be adding a staircase leading towards an upper-level neighborhood in here. I left this space for now. Not sure what to add in here, but we have a lot of plotted areas, which is nice. Going to this back corner, I left it empty for now since I have something planned to do in this area. A bit of rural or traditional in a way. And then going to the middle block, we have this footbridge. I actually love the color scheme we have right now with all the green, brown, pink, and gray. It soothes my eyes really. I love this addition because I'm planning on making an apartment building on the right middle block. Then if you go to this footbridge towards the left side, we will have the convenience store, which is super cute. Anyways, going back, this is the apartment building. Then we will have more buildings in here. I may or may not make tall buildings, but we shall see. Over here is a parking area for the residents and also for workers. I'm gonna have another staircase on the right middle block. But this is how the town looks so far. I went for a neighborhood style with a mixture of modern since this has been mostly requested. But we shall see how this goes and I am super excited. Anyways, that is the end of part 1 in our Japan Town series. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would appreciate your support by giving this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also click on the notification bell so you won't miss the latest videos I upload. Help me reach a milestone of 10,000 subs before summer starts. This would help me a lot, especially in making future videos for you all. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, or night. Love you all and take care. See you on my next videos.